Dr. Jazz.
Man, thanks for finding the time. Appreciate
Dr.
it.
Jazz.
Yeah.
I thought I'd drop you a line because I started this fall listening to so many records and so many have you on, and I was like, man, okay, we should talk. And
Like what? Which
oh,
one?
well, the last one by you, Arbol Adentro, and then the one with the trumpet player Gonzalo Marquez,
Okay,
and
okay.
the new one with Leo Genovese, and it's like, sounds like a super busy period, I guess, at least for records. So.
True.
Uh, But I want to start with your last record, Arbol Adentro. I listened just to it today in the morning also again, and I've always loved your writing ever since Naranja came out like almost 20 years ago. And
Yeah.
what's your story with writing? How do you approach it? Like, there's like this beautiful rubato tune, GM, and some other really nice melodies you always write. Like,
Yeah.
how do you write?
Um, I don't have a method or I remember I took some lessons for composing, but honestly, I don't remember any of the techniques. So basically, I normally I sit on the piano and then I start hearing something and then I continue looking for whatever is in my head or but the basic thing is uh, probably I write because I need to get it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Do, do,
but
do you always write for a project? I mean, or do you have like a daily or weekly or whatever routine going on? Or
when I'm not super busy, I'm always having
oh, really?
ideas.
Okay.
So it could be either a melody or harmony or whatever or something. Sometimes I wanna explore some things that I'm not super comfortable, and then that develops. And also, I used to have a classical teacher, bass,
Hmm. Okay.
um, that every time the lessons were like 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, and we will approach something specific technique, and he would say like, okay, for next lesson, next week, bring me two sheets of music. You write something with this, and 2 sheets of music of bass solo is a lot of music.
Yeah.
So that forced me to write. So I started having a kind of like a deadline, which for me is essential.
Yep. Yeah.
And then with that, I think I started this process of with playing and with writing of non-criticizing myself.
Yeah.
So sometimes I write a lot, and then if I don't like it, I'll keep it in the folder, and maybe a couple of months later, I'll grab up some info from there and evolves to something else.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a sketchbook of thousands of ideas that never saw the light.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same. Yeah. I always 4-bar rubato melody. Like, okay. Let's see when we need it. Or it's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a good process. Yeah. Yeah.
But I see that many of my friends they have this thing with the. I mean, it's with arts, it's all the same. With writing and poetry, it's the same. That sometimes you write something and you start criticizing, and it's like,
Mhm.
no, this is not good enough, or this is blah 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 because of your expectation. So I decided, okay, I don't care. I'm gonna write it, and the essential is that this is the message that has had to come out.
Yeah. 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 Hollenbeck once told me, John, like he said, like, yeah, you write it, and if it's, don't fall in love with it. It's just like, okay, if you don't have to keep it, if it's okay, just put it on a sheet and do a new
Yeah,
one. If it's not like it's a holy grail or whatever, it's just like,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
And
it's good.
also a good thing is that normally I have a rehearsal space in my home, so I try the most weird things here, and I see what works and what doesn't, and what can I do to change.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
And the band in Arbol Adentro is the same band from the previous album.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I've been playing with those guys with the drummer. I've been playing with him for maybe 18 years,
Wow.
and the saxophone player as well. But you know, more or less 10, 15 years with them. So
Wow.
there's a lot of confidence. So sometimes no, a lot of times I ask them, so what do you think? What can I change?
That's
So
important. Yeah.
it's nice to work with friends.
Mm. Yeah, I love your relationship with Marcos. I mean, you're really a strong rhythm section. When I listen to you with Leo, it's like, man, okay, some burning shit happening there always. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
quite cool.
Yeah, it all started with we both met at the big band in Porto, the OJM big band.
Yeah.
Uh, I started playing there in 2004, and he started maybe 4 or 5 years later. But we had that orchestra gave us the opportunity to play many different repertoires. Kurt, Maria Schneider,
Yeah.
a lot of players. So we always talked about approaching music and this and that. So then we played. Touch-ons, Mel Lewis. So we played a lot of different stuff, and always talking and always working and rehearsing every Monday. So
Mm.
that gave us either we like each other or we hate each other.
That's always, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you play a lot with this group, with your band? I mean, or
I I have the what I call the bass player syndrome, which is luckily I don't need my music to pay the rent.
okay, yeah, yeah, that's good.
So on one hand, I would love to play more, but on the other hand, I don't have that energy that most people or many people have, that they send emails to the promoters, they call them and blah, 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 blah. I'll send an email and I know them because I play in the festivals. And if they don't reply, it's like, well, they don't want me.
Yeah,
Fuck them.
yeah, 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 yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, it's heavy being this band leading chisel. It's like
Yeah.
can be frustrating sometimes, but good. Yeah, like you said that you do other gigs. That's important. Yeah.
Yeah. But for this record, since I write a lot of music and I'm always, as soon as we recorded the previous one, maybe like 5 months later, I told them I'm ready for the next one, and they say like, no, 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 hold on, let's wait, let's play a little bit more. We can do sessions and play the new music, but wait. So we rehearsed a lot. So I had like maybe 17 tunes, and we were, running different things. So we play like maybe for 1 year, every other week. We met and we played.
Fantastic.
Sometimes we play free, sometimes we play the tunes. So
It's like a working band, actually, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
which is it's beautiful because on the other hand, it's amazing to record with stars and with big names, but that is kind of like, for me, it's a one shot. It's
Yeah.
like you get a festival that pays the flight, the hotel, this and that, and then getting them again here is.
I know what you mean. But also for the music, yeah, it's like I mean I've done a lot of those recordings in New York, like having top players and it's fun, it's amazing, you learn. But now I appreciate playing with people that I know and just having your own music to develop it and stuff. That's so important, I think. I mean, that's what they do in New York, except they're.
I mean, yes, of course, but they don't need to call somebody from abroad because you have everything there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But also there's a deeper underline for me, which is I'm not from Portugal. I'm Argentinian.
I know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I've been living here for the last 20 years, and I could call people from like Leo is a brother for me. We lived together for 4 years. I could call him and I could call all the people that I know from New York, but that's not a way of getting inside the culture and putting the seed and by playing and working with the local musicians, it's like you're investing in the scene.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and it's beautiful because it's a way of growing for me also, because I learn always.
Yeah.
So it's mixing yourself, mingling with the locals and investing, and it's like there's a lot. I'm not criticizing, but there's a lot of Americans that they come here and they don't play with the locals.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Then there's John O'Gallagher or
I know, and Jeff
or Jeff Williams. They play with everybody. They don't care. They are here for music.
Exactly. Yeah. Has the scene changed a lot since you came to Portugal? I mean, I know you went first to Lisbon and then to Porto, but there are so many musicians, like you said, John and Jeff and Formanek. I think he's also in Portugal. Like moving to Portugal, and how has the scene changed for you? Like, if you look at it, also for you and like in general.
The scene grew a lot in 20 years. It's nothing compared. I think the most important factor was that there's a lot of Portuguese people that they went to study to New York, and then they came back, and those are the teachers especially in Lisbon University. And great players. I mean, there's a couple of musicians that they didn't go to study abroad and they were already good, But I remember there were like in 2004 there were kind of like 4 or 5 bass players, and nowadays there's a lot, and it's beautiful because there's people, very specific people. Like if you want to play straight ahead, you call this guy. If you want to play, so that's nice because it's a wider scope.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of young people. There's a lot of schools that opened, so it's good for the system, because the old musicians they have steady work. And you're investing in the future. There's a lot of musicians, not a lot, but something that never happened in Portugal. You have kids with probably 18, 19 years old that they are already good musicians.
Yeah.
And that 20 years ago, that wasn't a reality.
Interesting. Yeah, it's the same everywhere in Europe lately. I think I remember when I started like late early 2000s it was hard to find a drummer actually here, like who could play like these odd rhythms and go free in between and stuff. And now it's just like it's almost like you said, no need to call people from New York. You find amazing players in Europe, or it's beautiful. I like that.
Yeah, nowadays, man, in Germany specifically, there's
fantastic. You mentioned Argentina. I mean, you're from Buenos Aires. How did you get involved into jazz? Like, did you? I know quite many musicians came to Argentina to tour, right? But did you have like a specific aha moment that you said like, "Shit, I want to do that"?
No. My family, they worked in the. My father was a pilot and my mom was a flight attendant. And there was no music at home. I mean, the music was Phil Collins and Tina Turner, Yeah. So, but I discovered music by, I had a group of friends and they started a garage band. And I found it out later that they did that. And I was like, you're getting together and you're not calling me. What's up with that? So I say like, okay, if you want to join us, we need a bass player. And it's like, what's the bass? Well, go and ask mom for a bass. So I did, and she said like, what the fuck? What is a bass? So she got me this bass, and I started playing, but it was, kind of rock and nothing too serious. And I started having lessons, and then that was when I was 10, 11. And then things started, I started to fall in love with music. And I had this friend that his brother listened to very cool music. And he got me into Chick Corea Electric Band
Mm.
and all the fusion things. And then I started listening to that, and I started in a music school, and they started showing me jazz, and I thought it was boring. It was like, what the fuck, man? This is all people music. But then something grabbed me, because since I started with the fusion, I started going back from fusion. Then I heard Scott LaFaro. I was like, no, this is something else. And I fell in love with that sound and the freedom that he
He
had.
played, yeah.
So I think for me the starting point in jazz was that
Mm.
Evans trio. And then after a while I was playing the bass and mimicking the sound of the double bass and only listening to acoustic bass players. So that was when I was maybe 18, 19, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna switch. This doesn't make any sense. I'm only listening to acoustic bass players. So I sold my electric bass to do the down payment for the acoustic, because in Argentina there was a lot of instruments but expensive. So I had to ask for somebody to make me one,
Oh,
a
wow.
really
Okay.
shitty one. I remember it was $1,000, which was a lot of money, but I was already gigging and playing in restaurants and shit like that.
Okay.
So I bought the bass, and I had I had the deadline that I need to work my ass off, because I need to get the gigs back. I had to do the gigs with the double bass, but I thought maybe in a couple of months I'll do it, and then I realized, man, this is gonna be. And that was it. I never, that was in 98, 99.
Mm.
And I never, every time I grab the electric,
That's not it, yeah.
I don't feel it. It's not the
Interesting.
same.
Yeah, it's something about the acoustic of the instruments, the body, and the vibration, I guess, or many guys say that, or I don't know.
I always think that the bass is kind of a metaphysic instrument, because
Mm.
it doesn't exist. I mean, it exists, but it's in your head. So since there's no frets, no
Yeah,
nothing, so it's about the pressure that you apply with the left, the pressure on the right, where you put the hand. So there's a lot of nuances that,
finesse, yeah.
yeah, that make your sound and your personality. So and also what you said, that when you play and you feel the vibration, you're like, oh, I'm being part of the
Mm.
sound making.
So true. Yeah, interesting. Uh, how did Berkeley happen for you? Then,
Um, yeah, I decided, I told my parents, my mom wanted me to be a doctor.
mm.
And every time I see blood, I faint. So I was like, no, doctor is not going to happen. So I wanted to study music, and they were like, no way. I mean, you can study music and do something, work. So that was kind of like a struggle. And then I made my point, and I told them, and I'd rather be poor but happy than whatever. So I needed something to prove them that it was serious, and
Mm.
I had the brother of this friend that hooked me up with the bass, told me about Berkeley, and of course it's kind of like a very very famous school, and I heard that they were doing a scholarship tour. So I applied with a friend to the scholarship, and I won a good scholarship.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was funny because I got the scholarship, and then that was 1 year later than I started playing bass. So I was really not ready to do that. So I decided, okay, maybe I should take a little longer. But it was now 1 year and a half later than I left. It was like, man, you know what? I need to go. Yeah, because also since I was listening to jazz, I was playing jazz. I wanted more, and I needed to be in contact with the source.
Yeah.
So since I had the scholarship, I went there, and maybe I think I got there in 2001 in July probably, and then in September the September 11th happened. So
Oh yeah, exactly.
everything changed. And then in December there was a huge economical crisis in Argentina. So it was kind of like there's no turning point. Yeah, there's no coming back. Yeah. So it was funny because I was already there, but no money and no perspective, So
Yeah, sure thing.
we had to deal with the situation, and the school also gave us this loan that we with no interest, and we could pay it after 6 months of finishing the school.
Mm-hmm.
Since I didn't have to pay that much, it was good, and it was amazing. The experience was super.
Yeah.
Most of it because of the scene, because
Yeah,
of
other musicians, yeah, of course, yeah.
and there's a lot of musicians from all over the world, super amazing, and I remember I always tell the same story. I remember going to a gig, and I see a very young bass player, maybe 18 years old, and I never saw somebody playing like that in my life. It was like, whoa, man, probably he's the cat in town. So the next day I go see another concert, another playing even better. And I'm like, what's happening? And then I realized, okay, so this is the real world, and now I need to adjust to reality.
Yeah.
So yeah, that make you grow. Either I think that America is like the jungle, it's either you have to survive.
Yeah, but it's good if you want to make it. I mean, you just have to practice. There's no secret yet there, right? I mean, and that motivates you to see all these amazing players. It's just like,
yes, I agree. And also the most important factor is the mental health, because there's a lot of people that it's a crisis, because you're coming from another culture and you need to adapt. There's a language barrier, the culture barrier, also the cultural barrier is huge. I remember the club in Boston was Wallis, and it was all Afro-American guys there, and there was a huge guy in the door that was asking for IDs, and you feel the pressure there. Yeah, then you get in, and it's super like the movies. You get in, and people smoking a lot. Back in the days where the people could smoke in the bars.
yeah,
People talking, and in the back, and a killer band playing, like it sounded like kind of like Miles Quintet, but without the piano. We were like, oh man, like going to church every weekend.
Yeah.
But then you need to be strong, because all this difference, and you see all these people playing like amazing, and you're not that good, or so I saw a lot of people going down because of that.
Sure. Oh yeah. Sure.
And also I had a terrible experience in that bar, that during the summer, everybody was back home, and I decided to stay and do the semester in the summer to get rid of the things that I didn't want to study. So they went to the list, nobody can do it, and I was probably at the bottom of the list. And the guy called me, and I was like, sure, for me, it's an honor to do it, but I'm not ready, Yeah, it's okay. So I go there, Afro Americans, and they see me like this, and they're like, yeah. And they hear me talking with this accent, and okay, it's cool. And but they were talking slang, and my English wasn't super good, and in slang, forget about it. I never understood anything that they were saying, and so we went to the bandstand, and I was like, okay, so what should we play? And I will tell you what I remember. So the guy turned to me and said, like, hey, sir. I'm like, what? So I started playing, The guy turned to me, sir. So it was humiliation, in front of all my friends and everybody. Like, yeah, you're playing in the church. So I was like, oh man, what's happening? So now, if I think about it, they were doing it on purpose, and they were playing obscure things, maybe Chucky McLean tunes or things like that, to see if I was strong, So after the first set, I was like, what the fuck happened? It's like, what's happening? It's like, yeah, man, you gotta what?
That's so heavy, man.
Okay. So what do you want to play? And there was a second set. So what do you want to play? I don't know, man. I come from Argentina, and I was playing It Could Happen to You or something like that. It's like, you want to play It Could Happen to You? Okay. So he's like, okay. So super fast. So, I went home super depressed. It's like, fuck, this is not for me, or I'm not strong enough, or whatever. And then, okay, don't get me wrong, but I don't wish this experience for anybody. But that changed my life.
Sure.
I was like, boom. I made a click, and I was like, you know what? That's not what I want from music. That's not who I am. And my expectations were lower like this right away. I thought like, okay, I am a piece of shit. I play two notes, but I'm gonna enjoy those two notes. So I started, maybe that's where the stop criticizing myself started. I started playing without hurting myself psychologically.
Yeah.
And then I ran into this guy in the street, and he was super nice. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm like, fuck you, man. It's like, it's because of what happened the other night. You gotta come and come back and play. And I'm like, no, that's no. So we talk about it, and then I came back, and after the set, he will invite people, and he will, yeah, come on. And I'm like, no. And after a couple of months, I said like, fuck it, I have to go back to the riding the horse.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's how you learn, right? In a way. I mean, it's harsh, but that's, if you look back, that's the Charlie Parker story with the cymbal, and
yeah.
I think every one of us had this. I mean, many people have this experience, and I think it's good if it motivates you in the right way, like you said. That's important.
Yeah. I mean, luckily I was determined to move forward, but there's a lot of people that they wouldn't survive that.
Yeah.
And later, I started teaching when I go to Portugal and everything. And over these 20 years, I saw so many people super talented. I'm thinking like, man, this guy is going to be somebody, you know, and then something happened and they disappear because of mental health.
Yeah. Oh, it's heavy. I mean, I was teaching at one guy's school. I mean, I will not name him, but like, you know, he was a drum teacher and he had students like come there, like talented students who wanted to study with him. And, you know, I was there kind of helping out, maybe playing some chords or whatever, just, you know, that they play. And, you know, he was just like every drummer who came, he was like, fuck you, you piece of, you know, shit, like the worst. Like, I will not even go into cursing. Like,
Wow.
and, you know, half of the people were just like, oh, shit, crying and leaving. Like, and these were like teenagers, you know, like 17, like, and those who stuck, they actually, you know, they kind of came through. And then he became to be nice. And I was like, okay, shit, that's your style, but that's super harsh, man. You know, if you're like, you know, I think sometimes you would also need like this softer approach, like someone saying, yeah, man, you're good. You know, that's how I teach, like, but work on this and find the strengths. And
yeah, but I think it's part of the
old
DNA of
generation.
music.
Oh, yeah.
It's part of where it comes from,
Yeah.
you know, and outside of music, the Afro American, they suffer from, you know.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So and that's one thing that I love about this music is that from the worst part of humanity, from the worst, you know, it grew flowers, you know, and this amazing art form that
Okay.
allows you to express your soul and be yourself.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful that it came from that shitty, horrible thing.
Situation. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Interesting. How come you decided to move to Portugal after Berkeley? Like, did you thinking of going back to Argentina or to New York, or like, what's the story there?
I was out of the picture, man. It's no coming back. For me, at least. I mean, I always came back visiting and seeing friends, and
Yeah.
I love it. It's beautiful. But I always use the metaphor that Argentina is like an amazing ex-girlfriend. That you know that she's beautiful, she's funny, everything is great, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a nice one.
So we were on tour. I got a tour with Leo Ferenc and a Portuguese guitar player, Francisco Pais,
Sure.
and we went to Portugal for 3 weeks, and then with Leo we organized it so we do 4 months on the road.
Wow.
So we did with Francisco. Then in Spain we did with another friend. Then we went to France. Then we went back to Spain, and then we went back, all different bands, you know. We went back to Portugal again. So my idea, since my father was French, my idea was to go to Paris.
Mm.
But when we went to Paris, I hated it. So when we came to Lisbon, there was something happened, you know. The food, the people, the culture, everything was, I liked it. And then the second week that we went to play to Porto, I met I fell in love with this woman that now is my wife. So, you know, I was about to move to New York, but then I thought, no, it's not for me, man. I love it. I love the energy. I love everything, but I felt that I was sacrificing the quality of life
Life, yeah.
for music, and the equation wasn't good for me. It's like in order to play with the most amazing musicians, I need to live on a fucked up place and eat fucked up food and
Yep.
be super, you know, have no money. And so I thought like, okay, I'm gonna go to Portugal. Well, the thing is, when I met my wife, she was kind of going out of a relationship. So we started being friends and having this tension, and so I had a crush on her, yeah. So I thought like, this is perfect. I like the country, I like the culture, and I'm in love with this woman. That's it. I'm moving.
Yeah.
But then, she told me, well, we kind of like I was moving in Europe, and well, nothing happened. Then a couple of months, I started writing letters to her, poems and stuff. Working, and then she decided to come to Boston to visit me. So then, everything happened, and I was like, okay, I told her I'm gonna move to Portugal, and she's like, man, if you're coming because of me, don't come. I don't
Mhm.
want that pressure. And also, I want to go to study to Barcelona, so don't come. And I'm like, yeah, in my head, I thought, baby, if I'm going there, So I went there. I went to Lisbon just to see what's the deal, And she, the following week, she told me, I'm moving, So she left to Barcelona 1 week later. So that was it. And then I moved to a friend's house, and finally I got an apartment, and you know, it all started as a I'm gonna see what's the deal, and I never
Mm.
left.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Many of us have similar stories. But it's the quality of living, like you said. It's so important. It's just when you speak to many musicians, like New York or Europe. I mean, that's why so many players are moving to Europe as well. Just the quality of life and the food especially. I mean, that's like, you know, we live in a wine region here. I look outside and I see vineyards and stuff, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
think
different. So
I agree with you, and that's my philosophy of life. But
yeah,
I understand there's a lot of musicians there that they feel there. I mean, in New York, that they feel music and they breathe music
yeah,
on a way that music is their life on another level. I'm not saying that it's deeper or better, but I remember talking, I don't to somebody, but I don't remember who was it that told me like, for me, quality of life is not drinking a good wine on lunch or something. Quality of life is playing with great musicians that I don't need to explain my music. I just put the paper, and that's quality of life.
mm,
And the beauty of this music is that for me it teaches to accept what the other has to give.
mm,
So if you put it in life, so it's like, bro, you feel it that way, great.
yeah,
I feel it that like you. I want to be in a place. First of all, I want to be in a place that socially it's has a commitment with society and also with the world, because I don't want to be in a country that is a bully to the others.
yeah, yeah. It's now especially. I will not even go there, man. It's crazy, but
Now, especially, of
you know,
course, but it has been
always,
forever.
yeah, forever, yeah, of course, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the foreign politics in the States are the worst.
sure, sure,
So I don't want to be part of that shit.
yeah,
I could be the resistance, which all my friends, I think they are the resistance. But
yeah, yeah, exactly,
yeah, fuck it, I don't want to be there.
yeah. That's nicely put, yeah. Demian, how did Naranja happen? I love that record. I remember I bought it like 15 years ago, and I've played with Gerald and a lot also, and it's just such a beautiful band. Like, how did that band leading debut happen for you and those
Um,
musicians?
well, when I got together, I told you my wife, she went to Barcelona, and then 3 years later, we were friends, nothing happened. And then 3 years later, she came back and we started dating. And she was always, and you need to record an album. And I was like, yeah, nah, maybe not. And she was, kind of like giving me the the good input. So I decided, okay. So I talked to Leo, and I met Ohad, the saxophone player, because he came to do a program with the Lee Konitz and the big band.
Oh yeah, exactly. You were part of that.
Yeah. So so we started playing, and there was a connection between us. Then he invited me to do a couple gigs with the Lee Konitz Nonet. So I was like, wow, man, I love playing with him. And I told him my idea of recording an album, and he was like, you know what? The drummer from that project with the big band was Gerald.
Ah, okay.
So as soon as he played one beat, I was like, this is what I want. And when I was in Boston, I used to play also with Phil Grenadier.
Yeah.
So as a first album, I wanted something, with my friends. So Ohad got the studio and got a few cars also to drive, because it's kind of out the city. And I took probably, I don't know, maybe 10 tunes, and we went there. First take, no rehearsal, of course. First take was the rehearsal, then the second time is the album.
I love that in a way also.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful record. I mean, especially because of Gerald and you. Gerald is such a time stretcher in a way. Like it's really like, ooh, nice connection you had. Yeah.
Gerald is amazing.
Yeah. Fantastic.
But we never played with that band, of course.
Really? Oh shit. Oh yeah, of course. What you said, yeah.
Because I wanted to get gigs with that band, but it was an expensive band. And especially in 2005 or 6, people didn't know me here in Portugal. I mean, musicians knew me, but promoters and stuff. And it's kind of like the idea of the album is it's not straight ahead, it's not free, so it's kind of in between. So for the straight ahead people, I was a freak, and for the freaks, I was too straight.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I never fit anywhere.
It's the same for all of us. I'm the same. Malaby was the same. I played with Tony a lot. He was like, I came to New York and he was like, yeah, shit. I was not straight enough for the straight players or free for the radical or free. And so, of course, he could play anything, or you can play, or I can play. But it's just like people are like, no, the promoters. Yeah, it's a funny thing, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So we never got to play because also every time I proposed it, okay. So how much do you need? So 4 flights, 4 hotels.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
So they prefer to pay that money to somebody famous, and they will get more audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing. Already when we recorded, I was like, wow, man. And there was we recorded all the tunes, and there's a couple in Bandcamp, no, SoundCloud, that I put that they didn't make it.
Oh, I have to find it. Okay.
They were nice takes. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was a good band.
Yeah. Oh man, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, what's on the schedule for you for the upcoming months and weeks? And I mean, you have a record out with Leo and your own record. Will you do some gigging, or are you also planning to record something new in the upcoming months? Or
I'm always now. The idea is this really good friend of mine, Andre Fernandez, guitar player.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I love Andre. Yeah.
We were together maybe 2 weeks ago in Italy doing a workshop and doing a couple of gigs. We did a gig with Jim Black with Andre's group.
Oh man, fantastic!
Jim is a magician. He's amazing. And he has a label now. He has a kind of like a musicians association, and he has a label. And he was telling me like, man, maybe you should record a solo album.
Oh wow, okay.
And I was like, you know what? The thing is, I love the bass, but it's hard for me to listen to a solo bass album. I get bored of the sound, or there's a lot of solo bass that I love, but honestly, I can't listen it from the
1 hour,
beginning.
yeah.
Too much. He told me like, well, I mean, you can do like a half an hour, or we can talk about the tunes or whatever you want to do, so you don't get bored, as a listener. So that's gonna happen,
Fantastic.
and I'm this month. It was really intense. I've been to uh, Finland to play with my group.
Wow, beautiful.
I was also when in Italy. So this month I was only on Mondays at home. I was coming from somewhere on Sunday, then I stood Monday, and then Tuesday leaving.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow.
So this month I'm chill. Yeah, I have two kids, so I need to be at home, and because I'm missing a lot,
Of
I love
course.
being on the road, and I love playing music, and I know that I'm a lucky one that I can play whatever I want and with people that I want, so I can choose what I do.
Yeah,
Uh, but and that's the reason why I'm in this universe or whatever, to play music. But yeah, when you're gone, you're missing
absolutely.
childhood and stuff that then I come back and you know
Yeah. I know what you. We have a 2 year old daughter, and the last 2 years I tried to. I love playing and touring and everything, but I try to do as least as possible, just
or
just to be
yeah,
home, a lot, and
yeah,
it,
or whatever you do has to be really
worth
uh,
it. And yeah,
yeah, enrich
yeah,
your soul
exactly, exactly.
or the bank account.
Yeah, it's usually it's just the soul. No, but I
Yeah,
know
you
what you
gotta
mean.
pay the dues. So
You got it. Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
so now I'm we I just played yesterday with Eddie Paz, this Cuban saxophone player that lives in New York, and we had been on a residency in a Guimarães festival.
oh wow, beautiful,
Yeah. So and now we have two concerts on Wednesday and Thursday.
fantastic.
So yeah, and recording the solo album, and then I teach also in Siena in Italy.
Oh, okay, beautiful,
For the last 6 years, I've been teaching there in a master program.
fantastic.
So yeah, next week I'm also going.
Oh wow, well, the next time you're around, like I'm in Slovenia, we could get together or something. We have a guest room here. Come here and we can play, or you can hang or drink,
Amazing.
eat.
Yeah,
So let me know if you'll have time or whatever.
sure.
Would be nice to play one day. So absolutely,
Yes, we should.
if we make it. But
Yeah.
yeah, super. Great, man. Damian, I'll slowly let you go so that you can have a nice
All
afternoon.
right, man.
And I have to finish my lunch here as well for us. So, but
Good. Nice to meet you virtually, and we
yeah,
keep in contact.
yeah, absolutely.